So let's go, everyone. Welcome to the financial literacy and financial education, basically, seminar. So we're going to put a little bit more emphasis on top of what we did end of financial year a couple of weeks ago. But this one is more about personal growth and financial education around how to not just manage finances, but accumulate them and then get money to work for you, rather than working for money. That's really, really important with this one. I'm going to break this into two parts, right? So we've got the basics and how to get into a position where you can actually manage money, all right? And then I'm going to show you the things, oh, hang on a second, the next level, which is once you can budget and actually manage money, how you can begin to make it work for you. And this is the stuff, the second half will really inspire a lot of guys to kind of hustle. And I think, look, we always say that we're driven by helping others. We are. If you're not, you're screwed. And I'm being honest with that. It's something that, like, you have to be unconditionally wired, right, to being driven by. I say this, right, I came up with this a few years ago. The key to success or ultimate fulfillment is being inspired to do something where that doing outweighs the importance of the financial gain you get from doing it. Does that make sense? Does it? Yeah. So basically, you're not doing it for the money, you're doing it for the love, the passion, the heart, and therefore you get benefited financially for it. The money is a byproduct. I think kickstarting it with this one, guys, if you are not wired like that, you will never become financially free. You will never become wealthy, because when you chase money, you actually force it away, right? And if you chase money, think about it like this. And this is why I know most entrepreneurs, all of you guys on here, definitely, but most entrepreneurs, they don't chase money. Jack, how much money did you make in the first week of business?
Fuck all.
Fuck all. Leah, how much did you make in the first week of business?
Maybe
fuck all.
800.
Next person. No, right. So fuck all, right? Fuck all. It should be like what Jack said. Look, at the end of the day, right, what I'm saying here, guys, is this, right? When you go to work as a PT in your first week, you make zero money, right? Did anyone make zero money once? Yeah, I fucking did. Jesus Christ. I think everyone's always come from nothing, realistically, right? But what I'm trying to say here, just to bring James up to speed, good to see you, James, basically is that if you're driven by money, you'll end up driving it away. We all came from earning very little. As an entrepreneur, there's nobody who walks into $800 a week. No one. You don't do that. It's simple. You work from zero, you work your way up, and you're not driven by that. So that's why we're all here, not wired by getting money. All right. Now let's get stuck straight in. All right. So James, just especially for you, bro, because I love you. 2 parts this seminar, dude. All right. 2 parts. Number 1, how to manage money. And once you can manage it, I'm going to then show you how to start making it work for you. All right. That's what we're going to do. Simple as that. All right. The goal here is to show you how to become cash rich, even from where you are right now. So you don't need to be wealthy. You don't need to see yourself. Everyone will have a monetary figure in their mind of like, wow, that's wealthy. That's a lot of money. Or this is what I should be earning. Fuck that. Wherever you are right now, I'm going to show you how to take that and to accumulate cash flow, right? And it's as simple as that. How to be inspired if you want more income, right? And this is what me and Avi did before, right? So you need to be inspired. Right? Because if you're not inspired to go to work, then you're not going to go to work, right? So how do you become inspired? Well, you become inspired by setting goals. Now, we set goals of how many people we want to help in the gym, but I think it's also really healthy, and I'm going to talk about the importance of this. You need to have personal goals that you aspire to want to achieve as well, right? Treats. You need to reward yourself, right? Hands up if you've been on a holiday recently. There you go. I'm looking for you, Leah. I'm looking for you. Leah was on holiday a few days ago, right? And that's what it's about. That's what it's about, right? Those little things. James, we've discussed certain cars that we want to go and look at, right? These things, these are really important things. They really are. So you need to be inspired, set goals. So if you want to take any notes, yeah, I want you to all write down something that you aspire for in life. Now, this is going to be a very personal seminar. It's not fitness orientated, it's personal. We're talking about personal wealth, financial security, and financial education. Write something that you're inspired for and what inspires you. I want to take 2 seconds here to ask people, Dan, what inspires you, bro? Like, what do you work for? Like, for yourself, for you, what do you work for, bro? What are you inspired for?
Well, with my upbringing, I grew up quite, I grew up in not the best areas, you know, bouncing from house to house, school to school, went to 8 different schools, never had any kind of security, no financial security, nothing. I didn't have any items that were mine. It was a different upbringing. So I guess for me, financial stability and security has always been something that I've wanted, and I want to be able to live the life that I want. So that's, as you know, my goals are, to pay my house off and have a bit of excess to not worry about the money coming in, just focus on purely what we're doing and the value that we add to the world. Keep track of the numbers, but not have that emotional attachment to the number. So I basically just have some kind of financial freedom for me. That's where my motivation is.
To be able to do what you want, when you want, and however you want to do it, right? So that, I love that. I love that. I think like being disconnected is a great little side topic. Just quickly here, guys. Don't look at money as money. When you look at money in a bank account, what is it? It's a series of, anyone? I can't hear you, all on mute. But I want someone to answer. It's numbers, right? All it is numbers and figures. Yeah. Don't look at it as money. That's a really, really big tip there. You write that one, right? Don't look at money as money. Look at it as figures. It's numbers, right? Because when you treat it like it's money, right, people get attached to it. And the world is a very fucking selfish place when it comes to greed, power, money, control, right? Governments, authorities well above all of us. It's all driven by money, power, and control because they look at it like fucking money. Don't be like them, because happiness is not money. Happiness can be a byproduct of it, right? So basically, we want to set goals. Anyone else want to share anything materialistic or anything like that they want to strive towards, or they want to get? James, we spoke about you. We spoke about something that you wanted to eventually get. Do you mind sharing with the guys, bro? You're on mute, brother. There you go. Yeah.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I'd love to get a Tesla. That's my long-term goal.
There you go. Tesla. Tesla. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Anyone else want to share anything materialistic that I think is healthy? It's essential that you set as a goal. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to pay off my home loan.
Love that shit. Love that shit. I think that's something that think about it, right? When you actually talk about it, and this is my next point, right? Getting excited. I get excited listening about wanting to pay off debt, like pay off loans, buy materialistic stuff. Like, speak it to the universe and you shall achieve it. It's literally that simple, but you've got to work to be able to achieve. This stuff won't just like, I want a Lamborghini, there it is. It's not going to do that. It's not going to be there. But I can personally see a McLaren on my driveway. That's the way I'm wired, and that's the way that I think. I have a McLaren sat next to me on the seminar here, Michael. But I will have one. I can see it there. It's not there yet, but I can see it, right? And people, my brother-in-law, he laughs at me. He's like, "What do you mean it's on the driveway?" I'm like, "Can you not see that? Is that just me?" And he laughs at me. He's like, "You're fucking weird." Watch. Anyway, so with that being said, like, you've got to speak it into existence, believe it, whether it's materialistic or anything, a holiday of your dreams, traveling the world, whatever. It's not all about like money and making it work for you. You need to have these things that inspire you. So set the goals, right? And it's as simple as that. And then you'll turn them into reality. Now, this is where I need to bring us all back to reality rather than dreaming about cars and Teslas and McLarens, right? It takes self-control, guys. This first half of this seminar, right? What's that look for, Cal? Do you want to amplify on that? Do you have a bad spending addiction with your shoes and your bags? Is that what it is, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, definitely.
Right, okay.
I live above my means
She
sometimes.
has a hole in her pocket.
And that's not a good thing. So
Yes.
I'm finally learning at 23 to get my shit together.
Right. Most people's hole in the bottom of their pocket is the same fucking size as the hole that the money goes into. That, right? You laugh, right? It's fucking, I'm telling you, it's not funny. It's not funny. It is funny, but it's not. It's fucking serious. You have to be self-controlled, guys. You can't get past the second part. You can't get to the second half of this seminar if you don't have self-control. And I know there's people that don't have it, right? Shit. Well, I was going to say I don't. I do. I'm fucking proud. The reason why I do have what I have today is because of my self-control. If my wife didn't have me, we'd be broke. Because her hole is as big as the one the money goes into, out the bottom, right? It's the same thing. She's bad. I manage finances and she spends them. But anyway, look, it's a teamwork. But look, it takes self-control. You can't get to the next level unless you have self-control, right? Next thing, we're going to talk about budgeting next. This is all basic, right? And I think I'm trying to think here, Abby, when the best time is, I think, to bring the spreadsheet up. So me and Abby created a spreadsheet before. I'm going to show you how budgeting and then combining that with self-control can accumulate large finances, large finances. I'm looking at some of you guys on here. There's one I'm not going to mention, but I've known for a while, right? And knowing the position that they've been in and cash flow, and this is also not just these specific individuals here, multiple of my clients and people that I know should literally be so cash rich right now. It's not even funny. Should be. It should be so cash rich. But I know for a fact are not. A lot of that will come down to lack of budgeting, forecasting, and self-control. This is why these things are so important, guys. You've got to be self-conscious and control the stem of flow of cash out of the bottom of your pocket. All right, and it is that simple. And again, never be driven by accumulating it. Simple. So basically, if you can't get past these first few hurdles, we're screwed, right? Now, reverse engineering is what we're going to do. And I think here is what I might do now. Should I bring the spreadsheet up now? Nah, I won't yet. I'll do it to summarize the first half. So budgeting, right? We all know what budgeting is, right? You got to find out what your expenses are, guys. Sometimes it's boring. Some people don't like to associate themselves with the numbers. You have to. It's that simple. I don't care if you earn multiple six figures and you go back to earning 50K. The best time to associate yourself with the numbers is not when you're doing multiple six figures, it's when you're doing 50K. Like if you don't and you can't confront your current situation, it shows there's resistance to looking at it, right? Because anyone that does anything, they're doing it because they're prioritizing it, right? And if you're not doing it, it's because you're not prioritizing it. And there's nine times out of 10 a reason for that. And it's because you don't want to come to the reality of it. Hands up if you've ever got paid a certain amount of money, or you don't want to look at how much you get paid because you've had drop-offs and you know it's not going to be your best week. Anyone can relate to that? I can. I definitely can. And it's that simple, guys. Like, you detach yourself away from it, confront yourself with the uncomfortable nature of the figures, not money. It's a figure. It's just a number. All right. And you are all in a lot better positions than most PTs, period. And a lot better positions than most people out there that aren't fortunate enough to have any figures, right? At all, right? So always give yourself credit and be grateful for what you have. In terms of this reverse engineering, basically, I'm going to go through with this spreadsheet shortly to go about it. But this is the next point on my list here. Reverse engineering. Does anyone not know what the principle of reverse engineering is? Alex? Yeah. Anybody else? Jack? Yeah. What we're talking about is this. Tesla cost 100 grand, right? You'd never, a car's a bad example. All right, we'll talk about one of Kelly's handbags or shoes, right? Something like that. Right? Anyway, and she doesn't actually buy that stuff. I think I had a joke and it's kind of like running commentary for the last few weeks, right? But I want to run with that. A nice piece of jewelry you want. cost you $1,000. You make $200 a week. Your living costs are 150, which means your profit margin is $50 per week. All right. Some things will happen, all right, where that 50 sometimes will be 25, right? Does anyone know what 1,000 is divided by 50? Quick maths, it's 20, right? So 20 weeks time, you should be able to buy the jewelry. Make sense? What we've done there is reverse engineered what $1,000 is going to cost, broken down into weekly manageable saving amounts of $50. That's reverse engineering. You've got to reverse engineer, and with the spreadsheet we're going to go through, I'm going to go through and show you how to reverse engineer on a bigger level. When you reverse engineer, though, this is the next point. What you've got to do, we talked about setting up bank accounts in the financial end of financial year seminar. I highly recommend you have those 3 accounts. You have a business transaction account, you have a business saver, and then a tax account. What you've got to get into a habit of doing, guys, and again, it comes down to control and discipline, is when you take out, right? Take out all of your expenses and you have a sum left. Get rid of it. Put it out into the account you don't touch. You have to do that. These accounts, if need be, lock them. Lock them. Where you can only access the funds, and don't leave yourself short either. Like, it's one of the worst things you can do is leaving yourself short. Oh yeah, like I want to see, and this is what can happen to a lot of people, because you see funds accumulate and it's like, okay, 300 a week goes in, 1200 a month. Oh shit, I want to really try and squeeze my budget so I can put 350, 400 in, so I get 1600 a month. But then you leave yourself short. You can't buy groceries. Don't do that, right? These are all basic things, guys. They're all basic things. Don't leave yourself short. Make sure you've got money to live with. You need to have that. But then lock the accounts. There's also certain accounts, guys, little tips here, that you can get their high interest savers. And if you actually put in a certain amount per month, you'll actually get paid stupid high interest rates. So I know Commonwealth has an account like this. Does anyone know these accounts? Have you heard about them, where you can put a minimum amount in and they accumulate really high interest? I think we did these, and you're only allowed to put a maximum of up to 50K into each one, because otherwise people would just get stupid interest. But lock them, the money's locked. You lock it, right? And then you get stupid interest on top, but you can put into it all the time. I recommend following these little tips to help accumulate, and then test your self-discipline not to touch it. All right. But make sure that you don't, because again, you can't get to the real juicy stuff that we're going to get to shortly. So again, don't dip into the savings, and budget what you can, all right, afford, and then save what you can save. Like, don't overcommit to either, right? It's about a balancing act. And when we bring up this spreadsheet in a second, I'm going to get all you guys, if you want to, while you're listening, get an Excel document up, because we're going to do this. There's no reason why anyone who attends this live with me today should not be in a comfortable financial position from this point onwards. I don't care what anyone said. If you want to start from zero today, guarantee you'll be in a financial secure position if you do what we're going to do. So get Excel up, and we're going to get close to this. We're going to get close to this in a second. Now, one other thing here, which is a side effect, all right, or a little byproduct, is that you've got to get used to the fact, knowing when you get over 75K, right, your company's money, we spoke about this, right, on the last seminar, that end of financial year one, but I've got to reiterate it again. Your company's money is not your money. So many people live week to week knowing that, oh, I've earned all this money, that's my money. It's not. That's why we have the training on the $1,300 wage week, which is when you pay yourself 90K. It's just under the top of that bracket, which they've now extended to 120. I think I'm making sense for those of you who were here with me a couple of weeks ago, yeah? You pay yourself from the company, and then you save the rest. This is what I know so many people don't do, but that's what I do, and it's why it works. And I don't care if you're working with $200 a week, guys. It will work. It still works, regardless of the scale. This is why it's so exciting to go through this stuff with you, because again, if you don't touch the savings, the discipline part of the first half that we're still in, and we're coming to a close of before we get to the juicy stuff, you can't do that. You are screwed. You'll never be in a great financial position because you've got no self-discipline and control. Relate it to your clients. Have you ever seen any clients that go and get on stage because they aren't disciplined enough to cut out their cheat meals in the last 8 weeks of their cut? No fucking way. They're not going to get on stage, right? You've got to be disciplined with your eating if you want abs. Who agrees with that? Right? That's why I don't fucking have them most of the time, because I like food. That's as simple as that, right? Dan, you know what I'm talking about. So
Let me ask you a question here.
yes.
Let me ask you a question. So like with me, if I could put in more into our business, that doesn't matter, right? Like I have a husband who takes care of the other part.
Yes.
And so I can put in more, right? Or should I be thinking, wait, pay myself and then put into the 3 accounts that you mentioned?
So this is a great point. So basically money comes in to a transaction account, right? Money comes into the transaction account. The best way, and this is huge, guys, this is reiterating what we did in the EOFY seminar 2 weeks ago. This is how you manage it. This is how you do it. Money comes in, all right? Pay yourself what you need to get by from that account into your personal account, which is off the screen, hence why you can't see my hand, right? It is not one of the other 2 accounts, which is your tax, your business saver, and the transaction account. Pay yourself out. And that's probably where the hubby probably comes in and manages that personal out of the wage stuff, right? You have to choose that wage of which you can up and decrease at any time, right? By giving yourself pay rises or whatever you want to do. You can up it and dip it at any time, but pay yourself what you need to get by, which will cover your rent at your house or your mortgage repayments, because unfortunately your businesses can't pay for those, and your food, right? And obviously spending money. You go to the cinema, you go have drinks at the weekend, you go eat out, whatever you want to do. Don't, again, live, like Kelly said perfectly, beyond your means, right? If you cannot afford it, you cannot afford it. But if you continue to work hard, you will be able to afford it. Cut a long story short, pay yourself out of the company, accumulate money in the company, realize the company is not your money. Make sense? So
I do have a question in regards to that, Simon.
Yeah.
So you've got your 3 accounts. You've got your transaction account, you've got your savings, and you've got your tax in the company.
Yeah.
And obviously you've got your personal account, which is off the screen. Do you go with a different bank, or do you have a 4th account that you can see?
Great question. When I was taught how to do this a long time ago, James, when Jason told us this shit, do you remember this? A long time ago, right? Dude, I never stopped. That's the difference. I haven't stopped here. But what I've done is I've also gone through a lot of shit to be able to patch up a lot of loopholes. And Jason, by the way, is a guy that I used to consult with, right? With James. James used to be one of the coaches too. And he educated me basic financial stuff, which I've gone on to kind of educate myself with and more. He told me, Dan, right, that what he recommended was that do you remember, James, he mentioned having a holiday account, you have your personal account, then your savings account, a holiday account, an investment account, all these different accounts. Now you can have these, all right? You can have these exactly like the Barefoot Investor Leader, right? So you have these things away from your other 3, you have 3 business ones. Now I have about 20 bank accounts. And it's a fucking mess, right? But it's an organized mess, right? Organized. Each account has its purpose. There's different mortgages, there's building loans, house loans, everything like that. But the great question, which we go back to, Dan, is with a different bank, doesn't matter what bank. I personally like to have visuals over everything in the same bank. And also what that will do is it will put you into a stronger financial position, which is what I'm going to get to in the second half, of being the bank's best problem, right? The best problem. So basically, Leah, you'll probably know a lot about this stuff being with your background, but like the more money you have, the more banks will give you, and you want to be their worst nightmare, where you've got so much money that they want you, because you're so secure, they want you to take more from them and spend. Like it's a twisted way it works. But to answer that question again, Dan, in short is, I would keep it all within the same bank because they'll see a lump sum at the end and it's just easily managed. But I would then have different accounts. When you take off your company, you pay yourself the wage of what you want to live by, which take into account, like I said, guys, foods, your food and weekend costs, rent, also savings, because you want to save personal money as well, right? So you put that and you have separate savings accounts. And like I said with James, we were coached 5 years ago or so to have holiday accounts and all this sort of stuff. It worked, and it was pretty good. It did look pretty cool as well, and you would see it, accumulate up. Even something like so small as like $150 a week. So if you're doing a $1,300 wage week, like we've said, guys, it's so much money, so much money. If you take $150 of that, multiply that by 52 weeks, you'll end up with about $7.5 grand. It's a pretty nice holiday. It's a pretty nice holiday. I don't care what anyone says. 7.5 G's is a fucking, that's depending on how lavish you want to live. That's a week in the Maldives with a fucking over the water beach villa. And I've been there and it's fucking sick. So I recommend doing that shit if you ever can. $100, guys. That's all it takes. $100. $100. So does that help, Dan, a bit? You're already off mute, bro.
Yeah, no, it does. I actually didn't want to kind of start with another bank and like have it all messy. I'd like to have all my accounts under the one bank. I just didn't know if that was to my detriment or not, but that's cool. I've written down the 3 accounts, and I'll also pay myself a wage into a separate account, have a separate savings.
Yeah.
And I'm going to actually, what I'll do is I'll set up my accounts, I'll screenshot it and I'll send it to you as well.
100%. Happy days, happy days. Anyone who wants any assistance with this, because again, guys, this is personal shit, right? Like personal finances, I'm never going to ask people about that shit. But if you want to confide in someone, I'm here. You know I'm here for you guys, fucking anything that you want in life, right? And this is what this seminar is about. This is life shit. This isn't really business, right? It's a byproduct. So to highlight again here, guys, $1,300 wage week, right? That stuff, there's education on it. That is the top of the 90K bracket, but that bracket now is being pushed out to 120 in Australia. All right, 27.5% tax. I didn't even know, I think, what the fuck 120 would be after tax. 120 net would be about $1,800 per week net after tax. After your phone bill, your fuel, your car repayments, the shit that we can pay for through the company. Like I'm telling you, that's a lot of money. And I'm going to show you how much money that is in a second. So with that being said, I'm going to show you this spreadsheet. So me and Avi made this, and I've tweaked some figures around, and this is going to show you a base level of what you can do. Avi, you're happy for me to share what we spoke about? Yeah. Okay. So this is where it gets good, guys. And I really want you guys to kind of have a little look at what we're talking about here. So basically, we freestyled this. We came up with this in about 5 to 10 minutes, right? This is based off, okay? This is based off an income of $1,600 per week. So it's about 75K. I'm looking at the people that I can see on my screen, all of you guys, because I've got about 7 of you now, all of you guys are earning more than this. I know that. And I think all of my clients in general, right? Most of you guys are earning around about minimum 1,000 to 1,500, right? Minimum. And that's for the people of the recording, because most of you guys that are here showing up every week, ironically, you're all doing pretty well. All right. So let's get stuck in. Simple stuff at the top. And I wouldn't mind if you guys did this with me. This is gonna round up our first half of the seminar, and then we're gonna get into the big budgeting stuff and to show you how you can accumulate real money, right? $250 per week living expenses. I mean, for me, if I was single, because obviously I've got a family now, if I'm single, I think, Avi, how much do you say on food? You spend about $100 on food, right? Something like that. I think.
Yeah, 80 to 100.
Yeah, 80 to 100. If I was going to live on my own, I'd be easy. Like, dude, I'd be exactly the same as Avi. I know a lot of other people will spend more than that. But again, living expenses is made up of food, disposable stuff at the weekends, within your means, Kelly, right? It's as simple as that, right? Within your means. Simple. All right. You're then home rent on top of that. So if you're in a house share or whatever you're doing, etc., this home rent would be home rent / mortgage repayment, right? And that's pretty much all it is. Guys, is there anyone here who has questions? And there will be at least one who's thinking of another expense, which is a personal one that you have on top of these two things. Just come off mute and speak. If there is anyone, there will be someone that has a question so far.
So
Sure.
Simon, is this
Yeah.
weekly? Are these expenses
Yeah,
weekly?
week. Yeah.
Okay.
Week. If it was monthly, it would be awesome. But yeah, it's not quite that cheap to live. So anyone else, any other expenses you can think of that you would need to pay for out of business expense, so personal expense? The only other thing in here you could chuck in is if you wanted to, it's like you could, like I said before,
Car payments, Simon.
Car payments and
car payments bullshit. Any of you guys that are not claiming 100% of your car payments, you're fucking up. Blunt and plain and simple. It's deductible. The fitness industry is one of the best industries you can ever be in for write-off. Ever. I've got $100,000 Range Rover on the driveway. I don't pay a cent for it. None of it. I can't afford it. I can't afford that car. I can't. I'm being honest here, guys. Like I said to you before, I can't afford it. I can't. I am broke. I am fucking broke. My company's rich. I'm broke. Remember, not your money, companies. Anything you can justify. Okay, Kelly, do you drive by any chance to do PT at people's houses? Maybe go and pick up equipment occasionally, right? To the tax authorities? Hell yeah, you fucking do. Even if you don't.
So we're able to claim like the mileage and some of the
Fuel,
expense.
services, tires, everything.
Yeah, there's no way we could claim 100%.
Yeah, 100% you can, because it's a work car. It's a business car. I claim the repayments. I claim everything on that car of mine. All of it. I max it out. Think about it. Fuel, everyone knows the cost of fuel at the moment, right? It's a freaking talk of the town over here. But I'm telling you, I don't care. Like, and look, that sounds arrogant, but I'm luckily enough to be in a position where I don't need to look at, if it was my personal account that paid for my fuel, I wouldn't be able to pay for the fuel. I can't. I live broke. But the company pays for my fuel, pays for my rego, right? Pays for my insurance, pays for my repayments, it pays for the services. Fuck, it pays for anything. If I want to go and put a new sound system in my car, my company's paying for that. Why? Because when I drive around the city to meetings, right? I want to listen to music in better quality. And what? Right? It sounds hot, it sounds arrogant, but it's the truth. Do you think companies that have fleets of cars are worried about putting 100% about all that stuff through their company? No. Like, this is, again, why you don't need a lot to live up. Does that make sense in terms of like being able to justify the car as a business expense, Sue?
So I mean, as far as my accountant, he didn't say that. Like, I could use a percentage just as I can use a percentage of the home in that,
Yeah.
but it never was 100%.
Okay, so this is where some accountants will play by the rules, and some of them will bend them to right where I don't like. For me, like, shouldn't speak like this, but I want an accountant who's gonna be a bit bent, right? I don't want to go and have someone who is so by the book, because here's the thing, I've never been audited, never will I ever be, because we pay our way, right? But what I'm not doing is, rather than paying X amount, is paying even more X amount. No way. This is why when you pay an accountant, you pay a good accountant, they save you money. And this is where that sort of theory comes in. They'll know what you can claim and what you can't. They'll know how far you can push it. And think about it, this sort of stuff, like, it may only be a few $100 a month, but a few $100 a month, that's a hell of a lot of money towards advertising and marketing and other stuff that you can use, which is 100% tax write-off as well, right? So car repayments, no, I wouldn't say is personal expense.
Maybe our situation is that we have our personal, we have my business, and then we have another business. And maybe that's just, maybe we should just have our own business on the side.
Maybe you should have a car for each business and claim the whole lot. Oh shit.
I'd like that. I do like that. I'm just telling you what our
tell your accountant, right? Tell your accountant that's excessive, right? But tell your accountant to split 30, 30, 30 between 3 businesses that car is used for all businesses. Claim, they're 3 different entities. So he should be able to go 30%, right? And then you're doing the legal like percentage of what it is. Put 30 through that company, 30 through that one, and the other one as well. That's even better. If you've got multiple companies, guys, even better, even better. You shouldn't, but moral of the story is you shouldn't, unless, and this is again, this is coming down to financial education, unless you go and take a personal loan to get a car, right, which you cannot afford. Don't recommend doing it, right? You're screwed, because if you take it out on your personal, you can't really then redirect it. You should always take it out on your business. And this is why having money in the business accounts is really important. But yeah, no car, like just no car. It's all tax deductible, all of it.
Question.
Yeah.
So is it different for sole traders versus companies?
No, great question, brother. And it's not Jack. I think that's Jack. Yeah. So it's not, bro, at all. It's exactly the same. Doesn't matter. Exactly the same. If you've got a company, you're going to be able to do things on a bigger scale because the cash flow is going to 9 times out of 10 be bigger, which means you can get away with more. But no, dude, your motorbike. See ya. It's all write-off, all of it. Like all of it. Don't be, and here's the thing as well, guys. I spoke about this. It feels like we're going back around to the other seminar. It is not. It is not something that you should be worried about claiming, right? Don't worry about the tax authorities and that, because I'm telling you right now, they are not worrying about you. It is such a common mindset to have where people are so fearful of the authorities when it comes to taxes. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't respect them. Like, the whole point of all this is for me to highlight that we should be paying our taxes. Hell, we did the whole end of financial year webinar. You got to pay your way. I'm not saying be dodgy. No way. I'll be a shit mentor if I said that. But don't be scared of them. Whatever you do. Like, you're earning less than fucking 200-300K. I wouldn't even batter an eyelid about the tax authorities, especially if you're earning less than 100. I really wouldn't worry about it. So hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, let's roll on with this though.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So I wanna buy a truck in a year.
Perfect.
How would I do the business though? Like, what would I start to do?
Okay, great question. So what you need to do, you got to get your, how long's the company been, how long's the business been operating for?
How long has the business been operating for? Like 2 years?
Okay, perfect. So you've got, that's good. So they'll do your checks, your credit. You call it credit, right? In the States, yeah. So to get credit through the business, they'll do some checks. They'll do it. You get it through, I would look into this, right? Plant and equipment loan. Plant and equipment. That's what companies will use when they buy cars. They justify it as plant and equipment. So plant is like excavators, diggers, right? That sort of stuff, right? And equipment is anything machinery, and you'll get a super low interest loan, which only companies can get. Do not ever buy anything in your personal name. I highly recommend that, guys. It's the worst thing you could ever do. I am in a very fortunate position with contacts that I have, that I have a loan for the car, which is less than my house loan. And that's very rare to find. 2.4%. on a car, 2.4. I wouldn't ever be looking for anything over 5% max for a loan, maximum. And personal, you ain't gonna find that. You ain't gonna find it. It's normally around 9%. They can't, people, this is the thing where it's like, again, discipline, guys, remember, discipline. Or I can get a loan now, right? That's cool. They want you to take the loan at 9% that they know you can't afford, so that you go and blast it all, and then you can't even break even on repayments. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't afford it. Don't get trapped into that. So go and put it through plant and equipment loan through credit of your company. Ask if you can do that. Plant and equipment. That's what they call it over here, but check it out. But you put it through the company and just say, company needs a car, we need a car, because we do mobile training, blah, 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 justify it. Even if you don't do mobile training, you can, of course, justify it. And then go put it through the company. Company pays for 100% of the repayments. That's it. I can't hear you, sorry.
So then should I be putting my checks, like when I pay myself, because I put it into my savings, like first, should I be putting that towards like in the company?
No, so remember, if you get 7, or you call it 10 grand, you get 10 grand a month, right? You pay yourself, right? Look at the screen, living expenses, home rent, and a bit of savings. This is 500 here, right? That's nothing. 500 is 2K. So imagine if you're making 10K and you're happy to live off 2K. Hell, call it 4, right? Double it, make it easy, right? Because I know you've got a big hole in the bottom of your pocket. So basically what you do, you got 6K spillover. That pays for the whole of the car, all the fuel, all the taxes, all of the equipment. It pays for everything. Now, this is where spending that money is beneficial because it's tax deductible. If you accumulate that money and you don't spend it, what happens is you're going to get slapped with a big tax bill. You're going to get slapped with a big tax bill. So spend the money, spend it. One way to do that is to speak with your accountant, right? And ask him at the last quarter of your year, right? Like you'd still do quarters, financial year quarters, every quarter, they break it, right? Say, how are we looking towards the end of the year? And say, cool, well, you're going to be set at this amount. And they should be able to tell you, I recommend if you can, try and spend 15 grand. If you can, go and put $15,000 deposit on a truck and then finance the rest. And then you won't pay the tax. Better off putting it on a truck than rather in the government's pocket, and then they're going to go and give it to people who don't deserve it.
Yeah.
Which is horrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Yeah.
So no, you're welcome. So let's move on. So business expenses here, guys. Me and Avi went through this. Okay. Gym rent. Then he's got his consulting fee, it's $1,000 a month. Phone bill. So this is all weekly. Avi's phone bills about 200. But what were you saying, Avi? You got iPad and some other things, and he's got a nice one. His PT software is about 120, 130, whatever it is a month. And then he's got Loom, which is screen recording, which is what he uses for video check-ins with his clients. That is how you should be doing check-ins, guys. Video check-ins with clients online, not Zoom catch-ups. Don't do that. And then Calendly. So operational costs here, 615. Now, remember, this is gross, yeah? No tax. Total, though, between those two, right, is 1,115. If you're making 1,600 a week, right, you are going to accumulate 400, let's call it $500 a week profit. That's gross profit. That equals, over the course of a year, $25,000. Now, on that sort of income, that, remember, guys, you're paying tax on this. All of this, you guys can still see the screen clearly. Yeah, you can see. Is this making sense? Yeah, you can see the screen. Alex, can you see it? Thumbs up. I can't see anyway. Right, cool. This here, 0 tax will be paid on that because it's all deductible, which means the only tax that you have to pay is on this wage here. Right? Now this wage here, if we multiply this, right, by 52, it's 26K. Does anyone know how much tax you pay? 0. What's the figure you get 0% tax up to in Australia? Does anyone know? Come off mute.
18,000.
18,000, correct. So you're paying $8,000 worth of tax, right? 8 grand of tax. When you're making profit of 25, the tax on 8 grand for someone of that bracket will be about 2K, right? So what we'll do here is this. $2,000. And then what we're going to do is go here. We're going to equal this minus the 2K. You got 23K, right? $23,000. Does this simple maths work out, people? Yeah. Thumbs up from everyone. I'm trying to scroll through. Like, if that makes sense, thumbs up. If there's no thumbs up, come off mute and ask the question. Questions. It's pretty straightforward, but questions. It's really important. Who's that? We got, oh, it's Aaron. Okay. Now, this is what we're going to do here now, guys, is this. Who here, who here, if you want to share, is six-figure level or above? Hands up if you are. If you want to share, you don't have to. I really don't mind. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you this, okay? Now, bear in mind, guys, this is all based off $500 a week to live off. Your living expenses might be a little bit more, right? Look at what that turns into. Yeah. Now, all I've done here is gone from 16 to 2,000, right? Remember, you're only paying about $2,000 tax on that. Yeah. So this is your income. This is your tax. So it would be tax on 8K, right? Tax on 8K is going to be 2K, right? That's it. You still get this. It's $46,000, right? Now, this is personal question. I'm not going to ask it bluntly, but I would say less than 50%, maybe tempted to say less than 25% of you have more than 45, 50 grand in the bank. Would I probably be right in saying that? Like, I'm guessing so. It's a personal question, so don't answer it. But I'm telling you right now, I know the stats, right? I'm shocked if more than 50% of you have more than 50K in the bank. This is all off six figures, guys. Watch what happens when you make 3,000. You come up with 100 grand. 100 grand. Let's reverse this back. This here is called discipline. It's discipline, guys. It's discipline. I don't care what anyone says. It's discipline. But if you want to, right, you make this, all right, and this here is this here will be rather that 39,750 gross, right? Remember, this 2K doesn't come out of that either. That comes out of this sum. Does everyone follow me here? Like, this is actually quite, like, I want to hear, like, what does this make you think when you see? Is it eye-opening for anybody, this first and foremost, to see when you actually forecast? And I'm talking 12 months at 2K here. Like, it's not huge figures, of which I know over half of you make far more than that. Like, I know a lot of you make more than double that, right? Obviously, you've got bigger overheads and the numbers and stuff will obviously, they'll scale out. But when you look at this shit, it's very easy to see how that 100 grand, without sounding arrogant, it's not a lot of money in terms of being financially educated. 100 grand, you can click fingers and you can save 100 grand if you want to. However, discipline. Does that summarize everything in the first half? Right? Questions. And like, I think everyone's like zoned out looking at the screen. Like, I don't like, is it just me who gets excited talking about this? I'm doing this for you. Like, but this is the thing. Does it make sense? I just want it to make sense. Who's got problems? If you want to talk about it, like with like managing the finances, what's like your trait? I'll be honest, I fucking like eating food. And when I go out, I don't really have a budget on how much money I spend. But when I fucking consume 2,000 calories in one sitting and spend $300 on that, I feel like a dick. I feel like an idiot. That's me. That's me being raw. So me, and 300, that's about, what's that a year? 15 grand to feel like a dick. That's stupid. That is absolutely stupid. What am I doing? Right? Babe, freeze my account. Well, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not. But this guys, it should inspire and motivate. Like that's what it's designed to do. Compound that over 10 years, it's $1 million cash, guys. And now I'm not smiling now. That's $1 million cash. $1 million. So that is how to become financially educated and stable, but it requires discipline. Please do this, guys. Please, for your own sakes. Any questions, anyone, about anything we've discovered here or you found out? Is that James? You wanted to say something there, bro?
Yeah. Just a question, like, obviously you and I are talking a bit about crypto and investing.
Yeah. 100%.
Equities and shares, and
yeah.
Do you set up like a separate account for that as well, like a separate?
Great question. Great question. I'm going to screen share again and show you. So this here. So for me, whatever I have left over is what I budget myself as an allowance to invest into crypto. So, and I haven't been investing recently because for obvious reasons. Like if you know the market and shit, obviously you do, James. But with that being said, I take it out of this. So this is, do you know how easy it is to go and take it out of this? You can't do that. You can't do it. Like, can you? That's something I'm yet to find out, and I'm not educated at that level yet. But I am going to be with a couple of companies now, and obviously when you have the cash flow, you want to find out how you can get that down and invest it, right? And that's where you're going with it? Is that maybe what you're thinking?
Yeah, just curious, like, yeah, if you do invest, like where that money comes from. But yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, okay, right. Next part of the seminar, second half. Right, and we'll go through this stuff here. It's not really that much to go through in this. Basically, guys, next level is once you can budget, you can save and accumulate funds, basically in brackets here. You can begin to make the money work for you. To become truly financially free, and guys, I'm not, I'll be honest with you, I really am not. But I'm okay, but I'm not. There's no way I could retire tomorrow. There's no fucking way, no chance. But I'd be good, all right? I'd be good. We want to make money work for us. How do you make money work for you? I think James hit the nail on the head with crypto and investments and stuff like that. And I think investments are things here where you would be stupid if you're not investing money when you're accumulating based off six-figure income, that amount in that previous slide there, which is anywhere from 50 to 100K per annum, right? After expenses, after taxes. The problem that, this is really key to highlight as well, right? The problem that a lot of you and a lot of everyone will have is that they see the 100 grand that they make per annum as theirs. They spend all of that and they end up owing a fuck ton of cash on it. They don't even get as far as looking at a spreadsheet like that because they don't consult the numbers with themselves. That's what I've tried to do here, is break it down to you. Live by your means and make sure your pocket doesn't get a big hole in the bottom of it, right? So what we want to do is then invest it. So investments, obviously, they're high risk. So crypto, stock markets, which are a little bit more blue chip and lucrative. What's another example of investing, guys? Like, what would you say?
Rental properties.
Yeah, property. Like for me, it's a big P. That's where I make all of my cash. Do you remember, James, when I bought my first one with Quantum ages ago? Do you remember when James, or he liked to kind of announce all that personal shit, didn't he? He kind of like, I remember it anyway. And he would always say, "Oh, shout out to Simon. He's had property, and second property came along, whatever, and all that sort of stuff." So between me and you, James, but to give everyone else an idea of investments, the property that I first bought with Jason, since that period, it's gone up $380,000. Increase, 380. That is having money work for you. And that is not me bragging. It's not a brag at all. I've done nothing. That's just the property market. And everyone knows the market in Australia. It's been fucking insane over the last few years. That is having money work for you. So if one person was to say, what does the concept mean, having money work for you? That is how you have money work for you. Does that make sense? Does anyone not understand that concept? Yeah. Property for me is massive. Any other examples of like how you could make money work for you? Anyone got any ideas?
I'm really curious about this because like I've always just got the high risk investments. I got an investment property, I got the crypto, but
Yeah.
where I'm not educated on is more the blue chip, the slower progressing, like accumulative investments, you know, like I don't even know what they are. I just kind of rolled the dice with my investments. So I'd be curious to know the smaller accumulative investment.
Look, blue chip. So blue chip, does anyone not know what blue chip means? Yeah, so blue chip is basically stable, secure. So you could say, like, in Melbourne here, we've got blue chip suburbs, right? Suburbs that are blue chip are suburbs that are like, they ain't gonna, I would say, James, in Perth, like Scarborough is probably blue chip. Would it be blue chip suburb? That's what, like, it's safe. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like maybe who have we got here? Zach, Avi, Glenelg, would that be blue chip? Would you stable real estate in Adelaide? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'd be looking at. We got Brighton here. Like, there's a lot of suburbs. Brighton. What else? Fucking, what's that? Doncaster, Tom Rose, you probably have heard of these places. Yeah, like these in Melbourne, they're blue chip. Like, it's stable. Investments that are blue chip, like, this is where it's going to come down to, like, it's personal opinion. A lot of people would say that investing in Bitcoin is blue chip. That's not at all for me. It's volatile. Cryptocurrency in general is volatile. I think we've all seen that in the market. However, it's fucking gold chip if you got in early, right? And again, I think you and James, Dan, both fortunate brothers to have done well in the crypto space, right? For me, I'm always biased, man. Property, you can't fail with it. I think most people, if you were to choose one thing to invest money into, what would it be? I think most people, naturally, the word property would come to mind. Invest in blue chip real estate, you can't go wrong. But when it comes to real estate, don't buy brick and mortar. Don't ever buy units or apartments, personally, because they depreciate. You need things with tangible land attached to them. That's the only thing that goes up in value. The land goes in value. Everything else is a depreciating asset. It's like a car. A house is like a car, but the land it sits on. Like, why do you think, this is what I always say, why do you think they're building and inventing metaverse invisible land? Why do you think? Because the land on this earth, you cannot grow. That is powerful. Like, when I thought of that concept, I was like that for me made me even more confident to invest in property. Like, snap up property and snap up land, because why are they in the metaverse? They're selling their infinite amount. Like, it's imaginary shit. And this stuff is going for fucking a lot of money, right? It's imaginary. That's not land. Yeah, but it's a land in a virtual reality. Okay, whatever. I prefer the real stuff personally. And, like, for me, that's what I would do. But there's no, I don't know, like, you could say, like, antiques would be another thing. Like, I know we're all a bit younger here than, like, our grands and granddads and shit, but like, for me, it's property, and I would put your money into property. Another thing that's key here to roll on, and then we'll just go into, like, a Q&A. Very important to know the difference between an asset and a liability when playing with money. And I think asset versus liability in property would be, and again, nothing against anyone who owns units or anything like that, but we nearly bought one, and I did not want to buy it. My wife wanted to buy it because it was in ironically Doncaster, blue chip suburb, safe. Glad we didn't, because they can't sell those apartments now. But what we did buy in turn has gone up massively since then. Like, asset versus liability. Does anyone know what a liability is, or what? Anyone not know what a liability is? So liability, stuff that depreciates and costs you money. Like, a car is a depreciating asset versus obviously property, which makes you one. It's all basic stuff. But basically, guys, what you want to do is get yourself into this position where you've got money, and then ideally, the main thing is discipline. When you're disciplined, you can start to invest and make the money work for you. Now, I have got some little treats here for fitness industry professionals, right? Basically, there's some things that you can buy that can benefit your business that will actually, they're a liability, but they're actually an asset for you, because they'll make you more money. So some people on this call, you got the body scan machines, right? So that's something that for me, if you didn't want to buy a car, but you wanted to invest using your business accounts, because to get into property, right, you've got to use personal funds, right? Or it gets tricky with trusts and other stuff like that. I'm not going to go into that today. So if you've got personal funds, which are harder to accumulate, like I said, I don't have a lot of personal funds. I'm not very well off at all. But if you've got your business funds, which do well, if I'm you guys, this is my golden nuggets for you. Find things that you can buy that add more value to your service that will then enable you to charge more or open up multiple income streams. Multiple income streams, on a side note, guys, are also essential for discipline. The reason why I can be broke or live like I am broke is because I have multiple income streams. So I have about 6 roughly, and they all accumulate and pay on autopilot, the ones that are automated. You guys could create a secondary income stream using a body scanner, which is easily automatable, easily, to create another income stream, which means that you're getting a lot more cash flow into the company, right? So that would be an asset that you could acquire for the business. If any of you, is there anyone who's interested in doing that? Like, I know, Dan, you've spoken about it in the past. Michael, you've got one already, brother. For any, Tane, for you, this is a game changer. James, for the future, we've spoken about doing it. Phil, game changer for you. Like Tom Rose, for you as well. Like Nathan has one in Derrimut in SA. You've been speaking with Nathan a bit, Tom Rose. These things are these are asset acquiring objects for a company, which are a liability, but they can justify you getting more money and actually end up getting more money. Another income stream that you guys could get, Tane, you created this one for yourself recently, brother, which was your supplement affiliation, right? Affiliation with supplements is massive. And I don't know, and this is not Herbalife. It is not anything to do with MLM streams and pyramid marketing, right? It's not like that. This is like legitimate relationships with people that you can get wholesale supplements and mark up yourself. I think, Tane, was your profit margin, it was 100%, wasn't it, on your subs? Something like that, as a percentage, if you want to discuss.
Yeah, so it was, I bought a bunch of protein powders, creatine, pre-workouts, and that was about 1,000 and just over $1,000. And I think it worked out retail price, it should make about 2,200. So yeah, roughly 100% profit.
There you go. There you go. So what I'm going to do now as well, just to show you, right? So we're going to go here, starting income or starting profit, right? We'll go with this here. This is what I would do, guys. And this is where you look, right? And we're going to go 2 different amounts here. So what's this here? Hang on, something's not, oh, that's right. It's because it's this. We're going to go here. What's that? By 52, that by 52. Yeah, that is right. That's right. So let's go. We'll use these 2 different amounts. Starting profit. Body scanner, supplements. Anyone like supplements, guys, like if you were to do $1,000 a month on that, right? And I think like a month is, it's probably a little bit excessive, but it depends. I think this stuff as well, it always comes down to belief and how much you sell it without selling it. You're a professional that recommends to hit macronutrients, you need a supplement. Hands up, anyone that takes supplements here on this call. There you go. So therefore your clients are going to want to take them too, right? As long as you can justify them. Again, if you do $1,000 profit, right? So again, it's 12K a year, right? Now it's very easy. There you go. Very easy to accumulate profit margin quickly. Now, what happens here is that this extra profit margin, you can then funnel more into this, right? So you then start accumulating more money in your personal savings as well as your business savings, right? Remember, taking it back to end of financial year stuff that I mentioned, your income, right, is now sat at 52. your tax bracket, right, of which this tax here would then roughly be around about that. Oh, roughly is paid for out of that money in here. Don't know why this is going minus, isn't shit. But it's paid for out of this in here. Yeah. The reason why is because obviously the wage has gone up. But anyway, yeah, does that make sense? You can pay yourself more into your personal finances. You can put that into your holiday accounts. You can put that into your personal savings. You then start accumulating over time bigger savings, right? Body scanner, tricky one, this one. But I mean, for anyone that has a body scanner, like if you were to pay $40, right? $40 for a scan. And if you were to knock over 100 of them in a year, now obviously it's going to take you a bit of time to do them, but 40 times 100 is an extra 4K, right? So again, it's one of these ones where, look.
Simon, let me ask you a quick question on the scanner. About how much do you spend on one of those?
It's different. It's different in Australia to what it is over there. Obviously, it'll be different, but I think they're, what are they, Michael? 10?
They used to retail at 25 grand here in Australia. They're now 15 because the company that runs them finances it themselves, so you can pay it off over 3 years. It's about $500 a month.
So it's 100.
The scans range between 30 to 50 bucks a scan.
Yeah. So the way in which what I did with Matt Dart. So Matt Dart, what he did is he had about 90 clients at the time. What we did with Matt is he got a body scanner, put it on monthly repayments, $100 a week, but we added via email template price rise of $5 per week per client. Now, whatever that is, what's that? $450 instantaneously. So take off the $100 repayment. Right, that's obviously at 90 clients now, or 80 clients, or whatever he had here. He added an extra 15K to his profit margin per annum, just like that. Not even doing no body scans apart from with existing clients. Like, so this is where I think for you guys, get to know your finances and fucking budget them and master them. You have to be disciplined. If you're not, every single one of you guys that's on this call right now, you're all doing over 6 figures. Every single one of you guys, you're all doing over 6. So with that being said, all right, you need to be disciplined with that 6, disciplined with that multiple 6 if you're at that level, and fucking save. Don't look to, as soon as you get, oh, okay, I'm making 5 grand a week, what I need to do now is go and buy a body scanner. Don't do that. I don't recommend doing that. Right? But budget, accumulate, get comfortable, test yourself with management of money, right? Because it's not managing the money if you're spending it as soon as it comes in, right? It's not. Manage it.
That's when timing is important, right? Because obviously the more volume you have of clients, the better you can offset these things when it comes to, moving supplements quicker, clothing as well.
Of course.
And the body scanners, obviously. So the focus and emphasis is on just building the business. And as you get to a good point in the business, that's when you can have these things come in. But you've spoken to me about shiny object syndrome and doing these things too early. Yeah. Do them when you're set up, more established, and then it'll move quicker. I'm telling you, bro, you've 100% nailed it. Like I always say, you can only advance momentum into one thing at a time. I can look at 4 of you here, and I've stopped from putting energy and time into certain things because it's not the right time. The biggest and best thing that all of you guys can do, all right, and all of you guys face-to-face trainers here, the biggest and best thing you can do is accumulate profit, put it aside, be fucking patient, and be disciplined with it. You're not going to be a millionaire overnight. You're not, but let it accumulate and don't touch it. Like I said, lock the accounts if need be. Continue to grow your business until you're at a turnover where you're like, holy crap, like I can't actually manage this sort of money because I've never earned 5 grand a week before, right? Which is what most people earn in 5 weeks in a 9 to 5, right? Obviously, take your overheads off and whatnot. It goes down a bit, but tax deductible, make sure it's all tax deductible. That's what you've got to do. Like I said before, Suzanne and Cal, cars, don't put them in your personal name. And then you go, okay, well, let's use this cash flow.
set up supplements, go buy 4 grand's worth of subs or 2 grand's worth of subs, turn that 2 into 4, right? Simple. Go buy a body scanner machine, instantly price rise all of your clientele with a structured email that I'll help you script for you to justify a massive increase in value that's coming their way to the service. These body scanners can do a hell of a lot more than just tell you what your body fat percentage is. I'll tell you that right fucking now. Michael will tell you as well. So you justify that every single person's debits are going up by $5 a week. These scans normally cost $40 a pop. You're doing it at $20 a month. It's half the cost of which you do in their monthly check-in. And once every month, their goals, their reevaluation. Michael, on our call, we were speaking about this with you and Nick, right? Don't do this stuff on top of their training sessions because that's your time. Do it inside a session. How long does a scan take, Mike?
20 seconds.
20 seconds. Do it inside there. Take the feedback. Take the first 5-10 minutes. Remember what I talked to you about being a personal trainer. Last week, we talked about this. The best part of the personal training session is at the start of the session. It's not the session. Do the scan, give them the feedback. You've just made $12,500 profit per annum based off Matt's numbers.
Scanners.
Oh.
Do you know how accurate are they?
Yeah, good.
Extremely.
These ones, very, very accurate. Yeah.
Okay.
They measure 40 different things at once. And it, like, if you've ever done an in-body scanner, they're crap compared to the Evolve.
Yeah.
The Evolve does so much more. And with supplements, they go hand in hand because they can jump on it. It will scan their body fat, their muscle mass, bone mineral protein, whether they're dehydrated or not. And based on what they put in as their goal, it will then work out the calories they should be having, break it down to their carbs, fats, and proteins, and then it gives you a supplement recommendation on what they should take to reach their goals faster. So if you've got your supplements in your scanner, put them together, upgauge your sales.
100%. And it also reiterates it from a tech point of view, which is like, oh, so it's not just my fucking PT who's just been telling me to go and do all this shit. This is actually telling me to do the same thing too. It adds authority like to the service. It backs up what you've been telling them the whole time, right, as right, and it will help them take more action. It's a very good accountability tool. Like hell, I recommend body scanners. Every single one of my trainers should have. All you guys on this call right now, you should all have them. Michael does, right? But Tom Rose, this is something that you could incorporate easily. Leah, same thing. James, we've talked about it. At your income status, Phil's income status, Tane's and Dan's, all you boys, multiple thousands per week. This is printing money for you guys. If we're going to talk about,
I've got this one here. We have 3 of these amongst the business, and they're $200 from eBay. I'm not sure what the ones that you guys are talking about. The one that does the more in-depth one. It sounds pretty good though.
They're 20,000.
Yeah. Well, yeah. These ones, you know, we have, as I was saying, we have 3 of them through the business, and these work wonders, especially for our pre-starts and when we do just the general things like body fat, muscle mass. Because off the top of their heads, when clients hear body scan, is straight away their immediate thought is body fat, muscle mass, BMI, visceral fat, and that's like the main thing. So this scanner does all that just with those main important things, but body age and maintenance calories and that as well. And then you can also, and then it gives you your BMI in that as well. So for a real handheld one that creeps around with all of us, you know, I keep one in the car with me whenever I do meetings. It's definitely worth the $200 investment. But the other idea that you guys are thinking of, that are talking about sounds good as well. But I'm sort of thinking of other multiple income streams. I'm thinking more of supplements. As you know, I've always wanted to go down that track. But I think maybe bringing back the group training might be something for multiple income as well. But that again is too much stress for me. So, but yeah, that's one online too, guys. If you want to look at something as well, that's also really well. So yeah,
that's good, man. Like, thanks for sharing it, bro, because like that's a really budget way to justify more value, more bang for your buck. And you can get massive ROI straight away on that. Like,
and as you know this week too, we went up $5 as well, because that's what I was thinking. Like with these clients, our clients have all this to them. They have all the tools. All the tools are on the table. What tools they want to pick up and use for themselves, that's fucking up to them. You know what I mean? So we'll give them all the tools. We'll have the supply. We'll have the scans. We'll have the measurements. All that's there for them. If they don't want to use it, well, unfortunately, with inflations and everything else, my price has gone up. So I was looking I was looking at the $5 per person per week that we're increased on this week. And again, it's definitely bumped everything up a little bit more as well, you know, so it does help. Sorry, mate, what were you saying, mate? Someone else was
saying, do you do challenges at all? Like, do you do like an 8-week challenge with any of your clients at all?
Well, Simon could probably answer that. I've asked about that a few times over the last couple of years, and each time it's just a no, because he's got a point that people just don't hang around. You're only working on the quick fix of people, and as we know, slow progress is the best progress. You know, so and that's just me thinking sometimes. Let's try and get this done, start to finish body comp scans. It's great for the clients to give them that pressure, but when Simon reminds us or reminds me that it's just, you know, you're not going to secure anyone for the longevity, which is true, which is definitely true. So yeah, probably the answer is no for that one, bro.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of them either, but the one thing with that scanner is you can actually set up those challenges, and they can do a scan at the start, the middle, and the end, and the whole thing's trackable, so you can see all the data.
Yeah,
and it generates a code, and the people that are in there, they can actually see the leaderboard when they do their scans. So it's just another thing that keeps them going.
Yeah. Well, I'm already thinking a good idea with this, instead of having to, with just adding what the service I have with now, or not having to do too much, maybe adding that extra service for other interests of people that just want to get a 2-week scan done. And yeah, it'll cost $10 or $20, you know, book it in, separate price. There you go. I'll meet you for half an hour. You have my time for half an hour. We can do a body comp scan, talk about your BMI, talk about body fat, muscle mass. That's it, like a session where they can really get in depth with their body composition. That again, you know, I mean, obviously it's my time. I charge, you know, $80 per half an hour. So again, that's something that maybe can be additional or something added. But yeah, more ideas. So it's good to hear all this as well, to get more ideas. Yeah, for sure.
I think the scanners are great. If you want to do a challenge on the scanner, that's fine. But at the end of the day, what that relates back to is like, it doesn't provide any accountability at all. What I would be doing is incorporate the scanner to provide an increased level of service to your overall.
Just a value add-on to your current system. Yeah,
it's a value which justifies a price rise.
It honestly, and it has, like, I have to agree with you there, but also it does help people have a whole new change on their mindset coming into just a mindset meeting with me. Like, no shit, I had a meeting yesterday with a lady that I think I had to stop during the meeting and be like, are you okay with these measurements? Like, I've seen that I feel that you're a little bit disheartened from it. And she actually was like, yeah, she goes, I didn't expect them to be so bad. But at the end of the day, for me, I'm like, all right, that's a good sign that she's actually able to see these measurements, even how general and basic they are. It's hopefully gonna cross fingers and hope that she will say, I want to improve my body composition. How much are your PT sessions? And you know what? She actually did ask me at the end of the session. So they are handy for sure, because it does change that person's mindset going into a session, and you're giving them half an hour of your time, showing them what they're starting off with. They will most likely change their mind for sure.
It's the best way to communicate to their subconscious mind and conscious mind without you saying you're fat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's the best way to kind of put it. So the machine tells you, and then this is our starting point. Now let's work towards your goals. You know. Leah, I've just seen here in the chat you put about a long-term investment superannuation, right? A bit of feedback on that. For me, never.
Yeah, so I think a lot of us being self-employed and coming from a banking background is we do forget we've also got super as a long-term investment option.
Yeah.
Obviously, you need to be a planner about that, but there's definitely some really cool things that you can do, and you can actually manage your own superannuation with cash, and then through a super fund, you can then choose the structure, you know, whether you're risk adverse or not, you can sort of do it in that way too. So that's just another option.
It is another option. Personally, for me, I would never do it. And this isn't saying that I like, if it's you, I wouldn't. For me, superannuation and depending on superannuation is something that employee mindset people do. Nothing against that at all. You can make the additional contributions to a super work for you far more when it's self-managed. Personally, that's my own feedback on it. I don't knock it. My wife puts extra into hers.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. Like the self-managed piece is definitely a lot better. So yeah.
Self-managed 100%. Like you can make it into so much more. Like property's the way to go for me. Like yeah, it's like the way to go. No worries, guys, if you have to go. We're wrapping up anyway, so we'll speak to you next week. I think for me, that's what it is. James, Yanchep. You ever heard of Yanchep? I just bought a property there, bro. You would know Leah as well. Maybe Yanchep. You heard? I just bought a property there.
I used to share out there.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. It's funny. I got all the WA people left on the call. Me and the missus just bought a place in Yanchep.
What's that, Simon?
Why?
Yeah.
Do you want? I tell you what. I'll let you guys into a secret because you're the last people here, right? Very lucky to have access to some very elite level data, which enables us to, from this point on, invest with no risk. And I'm not joking. I'll cut this out of the recording, so I only tell you guys. Anyway, my missus works for Coles. Coles do a hell of a lot. They pump multiple millions into data research. Have you ever noticed in new developments, the first thing you see is a supermarket, right? You go to like investment, there's loads in Brisbane, WA's full of it. Here in Melbourne, Tomaro's where I live up in Mernda. I don't know if you've heard of Mernda, but that's where I live. And if you go out past Mernda to Donnybrook, I have a property there. The first thing that came there was a Coles. And I was like, why the fuck is there a Coles in the middle of nowhere? But it's a Coles, right? It's like one of the biggest companies in Australia, yeah? The reason why they're there is because of the data research that they do, and they know where they're going to be. They know where people are going to be 5 years before they're going to go. And my wife works for the leasing department of Liquorland, who's part of Coles. Now they have this spreadsheet, and they actually call it the crystal ball. That's what they call it. And my missus has access to this spreadsheet, and it basically says where Coles are moving. And it's based on statistical data research, which they have teams of people go out and collect. Coles don't invest tens, hundreds of millions unless it's like dead set certain that they're going to perform. So she has access to the crystal ball. We opened up the crystal ball. We look for the best opportunity on the crystal ball and buy property there. And I think it went up like 20 grand last week, I think in a week, and because they've released like 2 stages. And I'm telling you, if any of you guys in WA, you're actually blessed with property. Melbourne is superseded now. I think. I mean, you're not going to see too much more growth in Melbourne. Brisbane, there'll be a bit of a boom. I might look into Brisbane. They obviously got the Olympics long term, but they're kind of expanding Brizzy a bit more. But WA, I think, is it's a bit of a hotspot. SA as well, there's some good potential. But look, guys, we are blessed in Australia for property investment. Without being biased, I highly recommend like everybody like get involved in property. But crystal ball, yeah, I would if you ever want to buy a property, like I'm not joking, I'm happy to give you the data. Like it doesn't matter to me. I just want to see people succeed. But yeah, that's why Yanchep. I reckon because you must have been thinking like, why the fuck are you investing in Yanchep, bro? Like, you know what I mean? But yeah.
I got another question for you.
Yeah.
So like when you probably say like, so I've got like a registered company, and then I pay myself, well, my bookkeeper set it up so he pays me a wage. So even though, you know, my income is more, like my wages is only say 6 grand a year or something, 56 grand a year.
Yeah.
So if I want to get a home loan, it's so hard to borrow money because, you know, they don't take into account the money the company's making. It's just like, how do you work around that?
That's a fucking good question, bro. That's a very good question. They do take into account. They will take into it. So 50 though, this is the thing. As a single, right, as a single person buying a property, hard. I've been blessed that when we bought our first property, it went into my missus' name because I didn't have 2 years credentials as a self-employed, right, which is what you need. You'll have that. You'll be able to get one. It depends on, so you'll get first home, yeah?
I've already used that like previously.
Okay, you've used that. So for you, no first time, you'll be fine. You can get, and they will take into account, like if you've got stability there, this is what my accountants tell me as well, because I mentioned to them recently, I was like, look, with the tax brackets having gone up from that 90 to 120, would I be benefiting from paying myself a 30 grand dividend, right? Because might as well make the most of the bracket. And they were like, not necessarily, because cash flow is king. So if they can notice that you've got cash flow in your company and the cash flow is there, but this is where accumulation of funds is essential. It depends on your deposit size and stuff like that. But if you want to run it by me personally, voxer me about it and we can crunch numbers. If you want a broker, I'm more than happy to put you in the direction of mine, because mine is a king. My guy is really good. Without my guy, we wouldn't have a portfolio that we do have. And ironically, I got this referral off a PT client of mine. So it just shows you how the kind of world works. But you definitely can. There's no such thing as can't. And what I would be doing as well, I'd probably buy, if I was to start again now, it would be pure investment. But you've got to buy in an area which is going to thrive, and like that's where the majority of our equity has come from. And to be in a financial position where we sell this house for a lot more than when we bought it, and you know, when you sell it and you settle, you get you're getting a lot of money, cash. That's how you could do it. But if you do that, you've got to watch out for capital gains. So capital gains tax, it's not as bad as what you think it is. First 50% of capital gains you don't pay any tax on, but then the second half of capital gains, it's divided up into the owners of the property. And so for you, it would be obviously under your one name, goes into your name. If that puts your bracket into a new bracket, you're paying tax as per tax brackets. Everything will always come back to you and a tax bracket, ever, period. So whether you pay yourself a fucking $1 million bonus, if that puts you into the top bracket, you're paying 40% tax on that mil. So you're going to kiss 400 grand goodbye. Same thing with capital gains, but capital gains is only given to those who have investment properties. If you're owner occupied, no capital gains. And that's how we've done so well with this one, because we've been owner occupied the whole time, which means there is no tax on it, period.
Yeah.
So
I think with capital gains, it used to be that if you lived in the place for 12 months and then you sold it, you didn't have to pay the capital gains.
Yeah, it's different.
That could have been changed.
Yeah, it's similar now, but it's different. So what they do is they'll tax you on capital gains from the point of value when you vacate the property as an owner occupied. And then, so for example, if we didn't sell this one, we vacated and rented it, because we're moving regardless, right? So luckily we've sold, but if we were going to rent it, they take the value of the property as per the bank evaluation today, right? And then if you were to sell it in 2 years' time, you bought the house for 700, got valued today at 950, then it got valued for 1,950,000. You pay capital gains on the 1 mil, not the 1.2 taking you to the beginning. That's how capital gains is done. But if we were to sell the other one, the first property that I got, like made 300 and something grand on it. Like, we are so lucky. We were owner occupied up until it's been now stable for so long. So we wouldn't have any capital gains to pay on that profit margin. If we would only pay capital gains if it went up again on that difference of when the tenant went in and when it starts to increase again, if that makes sense. That's how the current capital gains is calculated. Property, guys, for me is everything. Yeah, like I really don't recommend anything else. If you want to invest money into anything, get into property. And I think as soon as you're on a property ladder, that's my advice. You know, crypto, stuff like that, 100%. But yeah, property's safer, like for me, and it can go up.
When you read those Rich Dad books, he always talks about avoiding capital gains by buying another property that's worth more than the one that you bought. But then he has the little disclaimer that this might not work in your country and you need to check out the tax laws before you do it. That's correct, because they say that there's zero capital gains if you invest the money you profit into a property which is worth more, which basically means it's a never-ending cycle of you having to get more and more and more and more, and then obviously eventually it all comes back to your personal name. Like the ATO will always collect. And I had this conversation with my accountant. I said to them, how the fuck can I avoid the ATO, right? And he's like, I'm just being honest, how can you avoid the ATO? And he's like, look, honestly, everyone always asks it, especially when you go up to those levels where you're earning that much, where it's like, fuck, man, I'm paying a lot of money in tax. He's like, bro, you can't. The short and sweet answer is you can't. You've got to pay those people. So there are a few ways, and we'll discuss this with obviously the missus coming on board. Like, the best way realistically for me would be to pay my wife a full-time wage, but that only works if she's not earning her wage personally, because otherwise it will put her into a new bracket. It's pointless. So you've got to kind of like, a lot of people will find friends that like aren't earning much money and say, can I pay you 50 grand through my company? So that, and it's legit, it's full legit. You can be admin, social media staff, anything like that. This is all, that's all a lot of, that's when you've got to worry because you're making a lot of money about how to get rid of it or trying to, you know, cut corners. But then again, you've got to be ahead of the game with that, because Xero, now with the accounting software, you can't just make up wages at the end of a tax year. You've got to be on it in the future. Do you know what I mean? So you can't just clean money through wages, if you know what I mean. You can't just say, oh, you have to be ahead of it, which makes it harder. But yeah, well, hopefully that's it. But for the moral of the story for everything today, guys, just control. And I think you guys all do, but there's a lot of people that don't. You have to be disciplined with your money. I think I look at you, Tom Rose, and go like, your position, young girl, coming to good money. We're now maintaining it with what we've spoken about on Voxer. Just accumulate, Tom Rose. And because you're still living at home here, right, as well, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I just moved back home.
Yeah.
But I'm still paying for a house in Adelaide.
Yeah, for Matt, right? So I'm guessing that's where
2 more weeks.
2 more weeks. For you guys, honestly, I'm telling you, like, this is how Matt Dart did so well originally, because he was living in such low rent situation, obviously no kids, no overheads, no nothing like that me, James, Michael, and Tane, and maybe in the future Tom Rose will deal with, having dependents on you that bleed you. But I'm telling you, he had minimal overheads. Tom Rose, you are in a ridiculously good position. Just forecast. And guys, to you who've stuck around, but I'm going to go now because I've got a Cairo appointment. Like, anything you guys want to go through personally, like
I have a quick question before you go, Simon. Holidays, like, if we want to go for a holiday, I'm going to go for a holiday back to New Zealand. Is there a way we can claim that on the business, like organize some sort of seminar or make something happen over there to claim it through the business?
Right. Do some burpees when you get off the plane. Good workout.
Right, 100%. Holidays. And this is, like I said to you, and I should have said this to everyone before, man, when I fly business class. I can't afford business class. Why do I do that? To spend the money. Spend the money. Now, you don't need to spend the money, but dude, amen. Amen. Yeah. At least, and again, this is where it comes down to, like, no worries, bro, James, see you soon, bro. It comes down to, like, again, how much can you bend the rules without snapping the ruler? right?
Yeah.
That was an analogy I used years ago. You bend it, but it goes too far, it will shatter. Like same thing with the taxes. Anything flight-wise, interstate, international, it's all through the business, all through the companies. Why? Because I have international clients. Same thing with you. It can PT. You got to ask yourself a question. This is how I do it. And this is how I'd say to Kelly and them before. Can you do mobile PT? Yes. Does that require a card? Yes. Therefore, that's tax deductible. Tane, can you do online PT? Yes. Does that mean you could go and have catch-ups with your clients internationally? Yes. Justifies travel expenses.
Yes.
That's all it is. The ATO aren't going to do shit. They're not going to do anything. They ain't going to do anything because it's justifiable, man.
But then it's just going to be like kids' flights and partners' flights and all that sort of stuff that'll come first.
You can push the boat out if you want, and try and do that. Speak to your accountant about it. But here's the thing: they're not going to look into it that much.
Yeah, sweet.
They really aren't. Like couple of K, man. Chuck that again. You've been and for you again, personal question. We can talk about it, but. Look, dude, you're one of the best guys that I have in terms of if you get invoiced, you pay it. It's like done within a fucking half an hour, right?
Yeah.
That is a reflection of someone who is financially in a position where they're saving and they've got funds.
Yeah.
So you've been earning six figures like for a while, right? Well, the video popped up on our memory. Realistically, it's been a year nearly. Now, obviously, there's some peaks and troughs, but again, personal question. There'll be finances there. Like what I would do is each tax year, this is something huge as well, right? At the end of each tax year, whenever you do that return, balance the books, and then whatever is there left, put that into an offset. So you can have business tax account, business savings, and a transaction, have a second business saver that you pay the money, you pay the tax on that profits. And then if there's 15, 20 grand left, put that into the tax or the saving.
Yeah.
And each year do that. You want to take that, you've already paid 27.5% tax on that. So what you could end up doing is 1 year, you could pay yourself up front 50 grand cash, tax-free as a dividend because the tax has already been paid on the money. All of your income for that year, as long as you can then budget, living expenses $1,000 a week for that 52 weeks, right? You just put all of that through as company profit. You don't even take a wage from the company. That is how you get ahead in this game. You've just got to manage it and be disciplined. Discipline is the key. It's all it is. And it's fucking easy. Like Tom Rose, you should be starting to accumulate some pennies, right? Do you know what I mean? And that's where it should be when we get on top of our debits and shit. But yeah, do you know what I mean? Like it's just fucking don't spend it, save it. Simple. Yeah. Anything else?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No.
Michael, Tom Rose, we good?
Good.
Yeah, all right. These getting fucking longer and longer, these things, aren't they? Jesus Christ. All right, I love you all. I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah.